I watched Hamilton, and I have words that no one cares about, but I still want to say. So in the beginning, I did roast a lot of Hamilton fans because I just didn't understand the obsession. It was really great that there were people of color who portrayed a lot of these main, I guess, founding fathers and characters, but a lot of these founding fathers were slaveholders. People have a valid reason and right to critique a play that romanticizes a man who is just as much of a slaveholder, kind of. I think that's a valid conversation to have. I think it's a valid conversation to remember and remind ourselves that these founding fathers, while they are played by people of color, they are white men who created the system that we have today that didn't include women and definitely didn't include Black people. And that is probably one of the biggest reasons of why I wasn't a fan of Hamilton. Moving on to the actual show, I think it was really good. Very much dramatic, which is what theater is and acting in general is. It's always dramatic. When I was researching and looking up kind of what was actually true, because I do not believe for 1 second that a lot of Hamilton's friends were very much anti-slavery or wanted a first Black battalion, which isn't true. I would like to think that he kind of wrote it in the style of probably how Hamilton saw himself. And I frankly think that Hamilton was a narcissist by the way that it's shown in this show, which I don't know if that's what Lin-Manuel planned it to look like, but that's all I saw, was just that he was a narcissist. He did talk about his legacy and wanting to be known, but was so lost in trying to do that and so lost in trying to achieve power that he actually lost a lot of his power. And if it wasn't for his wife, he would have been kind of just pushed to the side a lot. So for me, I like the music, the story that it was telling. All it kind of told me was Alexander Hamilton, like most of the founding fathers, were pretty narcissistic and cared too much about power and party lines than actually making sure that the country ran way better than it was run, whatever, under Great Britain. So that's what that taught me. It also made me want to know the story of Eliza so much more. I would rather know her story, to know how she dealt with having to tell her husband's story, knowing that her husband didn't really always honor her the way that she probably knew she should have been honored. And I feel like in a way her revenge of that is living 50 years longer, or a way of taking back her agency. I'm so sorry for you in my stomach. She's going nuts. I'm so sorry. I did eat. I guess she just doesn't like what I ate. They don't talk about the Black person who was also a spy along with Mulligan. That would have been a great story to depict, but I guess I kind of get it, because having people of color tell a white man's story would make it really awkward and hard to try and have an actual Black person be a spy. I don't know if any of that made sense. I hope I am not offending anyone. But people, I think particularly Black people, have a lot of just kind of like, It is okay for people to be upset and for people to not completely be down for wanting to like Hamilton or watch Hamilton. Stan culture can prop up works and artists as people who are without flaw, or as things without flaw, and that is just incredibly problematic because people suck. And while Hamilton has done so much for so many people who are in that cast, Hamilton has also exalted a white man who didn't really do much for racial equity. His wife did more. All in all, Hamilton was great, but Hamilton is still problematic in its own way, which is what a lot of people are kind of conflicted about, and I don't blame them, and you shouldn't either. Everybody laughed at me, but I watched Hamilton for the second time to make sure that I was like accurately getting depiction of the whole story, if that makes sense. For context, for some reason my account is like a small number of affected accounts where like Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN just aren't communicating with each other with my account. So I was fighting with the Hulu people for like about an hour while trying to watch Hamilton. So I didn't get I didn't get to like fully experience the play. That is a movie technically. I didn't get to experience it completely. I didn't get to look at it fully, and I did this time around with commentary from your girl. Because I can never not make commentary. I love the music, and I love the little kind of, I guess, Easter eggs or things of significance that are in the play. I think those are really, really amazing. In that same vein, I have this weird back of my head thing that I had noticed, that usually a lot of the people who were actually darker skinned, kind of an antagonist in some way to some other character. And I feel like that's just me being like a little picky, but that's something that I just didn't like. Or they didn't have a lot of words or impact and say. I think Lin-Manuel does a good job of like kind of trying to depict Hamilton in a way that is incredibly human, making sure that the people that we're writing about in history are seen as human beings and not these ethereal people who came through God's divine name and did the thing and left. They were human beings who had a lot of issues, probably had more issues with the more power they came into, which is incredibly normal because that's what human beings do. And I think once we start to humanize historical figures, that's when we'll make sure that we are figuring out how to deal with the history of people who have hurt scores or groups of people in the name of, and what does that mean for us, and what can we learn from that piece of history. I think to demonize people who are saying, well, I'm not gonna see it because it's depicting a very romanticized version of Alexander Hamilton and the Founding Fathers, when that wasn't really the case. I think they are very fair to be in those feelings and not watch it, the same way that there are people who understand that this isn't truly what it is, but love the impact that the show had. I think that that's okay too. I think it's okay to be critical of Lin-Manuel for how he wrote it and for why he wrote it in general. Somebody made a really good critique. Hamilton was so good and inspirational that Mike Pence went to go see it. And that is true. I mean, even though I got kicked out the play, that is true. So what does that say about your work? What does that say about the play? Did you do too much? So while it was really great as a work of art, but yeah, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. This was me venting about a movie, and I just felt like doing that again. I can't believe I went and watched 2 hours and 40 minutes of that. It was good. I don't think I'll ever do it again, because I shouldn't have done that in one day. Like, even though I had like a very big break, it wasn't a smart idea.